Now, police have described flooding in Scotland as the worst in the region for years. The River Neath in Dumfries has burst its banks. 2 bridges have been swept away and a number of homes have been flooded. The rail line between Dumfries and Carlisle has also been closed. And joining me now is Mark Franklin, Flood Duty Manager at the Scottish Environment Protection Agency. Thank you so much for talking to us, Mark. Where are we now with the flood situation across Scotland?
Thanks, Kimberly. So if I can start with a quick recap of the last couple of days. So it's been very wet over the south of Scotland. We've had around 80 millimetres of rainfall widespread in that area, with higher ground seeing over 100 millimetres of rainfall. Now, the rivers responded to that rainfall as you'd expect. We saw the highest level in 50 years at Brydekirk gauging station, which is on the Annan. As you mentioned, just downstream, 2 historic bridges have been washed away. One of those had been there since 1897, so that gives you an idea of the intensity of the flows going down that river yesterday overnight. We also saw the flooding in Dumfries. In the White Sands area, there's been businesses and properties affected, and the fire and rescue service have had to undertake rescues of families in that area. Over to the borders in the east, we've seen the highest levels since Storm Frank in a number of places, such as Peebles. And in Hawick, there was a precautionary evacuation when it looked like the river levels were going to get to such that they'd cause widespread flooding. Luckily, the river kind of levelled off soon afterwards, and we were able to, or the local authority were able to cease the evacuation and allow people to go back to their homes. But again, there was flooding in spots across the town, and the rugby club was flooded. So all in all, it was quite tough for a night for a lot of people. The situation has improved throughout the day as the flood peaks passed downstream. The river levels have subsided. However, there is still quite a lot of standing water around, and a lot of disruption as a result of all this flooding. So really encouraging people to plan their journeys carefully and be aware when they're travelling around known low spots, those sorts of places that we could find, they could find unexpectedly quite a lot of water on the road. That kind of brings me to today. So at the moment, we have 11 of our regional flood alerts and 12 of our flood warnings in place. There's going to be a series of bands of heavy, intense rainfall passing up from the southwest to the northeast of the country over the weekend. And those have the potential to cause surface water flooding, disruption to transport and roads. And again, kind of properties in known low spots might experience isolated flooding impacts as well. Now, some of the rivers will respond as well to this rainfall, so we're going to be keeping a close eye on those over the next 2 or 3 days, making sure that we're ready to issue the flood warnings and alerts as soon as we get the slightest inkling that there might be flooding. Again, we're not expecting there to be widespread impacts involving lots of properties, but we could see riverside properties and infrastructure flooding as a result of this weather.
OK, Mark, thank you so much for that update.
Thank you.